training, wanted to be CID, was number one in AIT, was the guidon bearer, fastest runner in his unit. Um, and he was whistleblowing. He was whistleblowing starting with Qatar, or you can call it Qatar. I've heard it both ways. And I gave a little presentation last night about that, about the connection, the cartel connection with Qatar. And that Qatar, things were happening there that were very, very corrupt. We know that from our own son's mouth, and many witnesses to that. And we know that there were investigations, suitcases full of money, so much money over there. Remember, we're what, $37 trillion in debt? Maybe it's more now. Where does all this money go? Right? Where does all this money go? And of course, we have breaking news today about uh, President Trump at the correspondence dinner. Um, Free speech. It's all about free speech, freedom. And there was an attempt on his life again. So we're going to get into that. People ask, what happened to your son? And I'm like, on Fort Bliss, he was forcibly removed from his barracks room by his own unit, by his own platoon leader, and taken down to the arms room. You know, we we know the arms room is not accessible to anybody. It's accessible to the platoon leader, and the platoon leader is Dallas Hart. And so that is corroborating information with other information that we have, with other evidence that we have. And so they took his life there, and then they stole his body, and they abused his body, they desecrated his body, they dismembered his body, and evidence even indicates that they harvested his organs, and they then took his body across the border. They had the connections to do that with the CID, with the mortuary operations, with the DES, Thomas Kane. They had the connections, the compromised connections to take his body, traffic it to Mexico for disposal. So that's uh, an act of war, because our son was a U.S. Army soldier. That is a total act of war. So you know, this is epic. This is really an epic case. I just can't even. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be, but it is. It is. And Richard is a total hero. He's a whistleblower that they could not compromise. And so it has come to this almost 6 years later. And I'm just wondering about today and about the attempt on President Trump's life, because yesterday someone asked me, "Who is President Trump helping you?" Oh, well, President Trump is helping us all, isn't he? He is helping us all because he designated the cartel a criminal organization that creates terror in everyone's lives. And we know that it infiltrated our son's unit. We know that it is connected to the orchestration and the staging of the crime scene in the Walmart mass shooting case. Uh, you know, we know that they will stop it. No, they will attempt and even take people's lives, right? And so, do I think that this is connected to the epicenter of this epic lawsuit, which is El Paso, which is Fort Bliss, which is White Sands Missile Range, Zorro Ranch, and of course Fort Huachuca, Arizona? And I believe so. And as soon as uh, this assassin Allen, right? and I'll bring that up too because I think that that's important. I put up some pictures and everything. Um, so this Allen, Cole Thomas Allen to be exact. Let me bring that up. Yeah, there he is. You know, he is he's Propulsion Laboratories. That's where he studied, right? That's where he studied, Jet Propulsion Laboratories, JPL. Okay, that's elite NASA linked, and so here he is, and I put up some other, my website, the Facebook is going crazy with this. It really is. So let's see. Yeah. Uh, it is very connected to White Sands Missile Range. How do I know this? Because my dad was Nike. My dad was JPL. My dad worked around that, right? I was born on White Sands Missile Range. Yeah, I was born on White Sands Missile Range. Um, my dad knew and kept up with everything going on there at White Sands Missile Range in El Paso when it came to JPL, when it came to the drones and what AI was doing with the drones, and uh, knew about the MI, military intelligence at Fort Huachuca, and um, it's it's a sister it's a sister base for Fort Bliss, for White Sands Missile Range, and to find out that Jeffrey Epstein's ranch was at the tip of the White Sands Missile Range restricted airspace, it's like everything made sense because he is the trafficker. He is the epic money launderer, right? And to know that right now we have a problem with missing scientists, dead scientists that are connected with the Los Alamos laboratory, the Los Alamos researchers, right? That went over to Santa Fe laboratory um, with the funding of Jeffrey Epstein's group. Okay? Jeffrey Epstein's group, the Trilateral Commission, and his other members of the group, uh, the Los Alamos um, scientists were losing funding. And he came in, he bought Zorro Ranch in 1991, and he created this lab, or 1993. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. So, um, and and of course, Beto O'Rourke's family ranch bought their ranch at the same time, right next to, and it absolutely is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, absolutely. Beto O'Rourke is with Obama, with Oprah. Okay, Oprah is very connected because she was pushing that whole the baby farm down in Brazil, the John of God. So this is the epicenter. It's huge, and now we have this uh, a teacher. They call him a teacher. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? That he's a teacher? Okay, he's a teacher, but he is JPL. He's NASA JPL. He's Jet Propulsion Laboratories. He for Indie company. He is developing a software, right? A gamer, uh, all about this, all about this. Um, so I put up all the information, and I'm a little bit my adrenaline's kind of going tonight because it's like every time someone tries uh, to hurt President Trump, it's connected to our son's case, and in this case, it's the same. It's the same. Every one of them. And even the Charlie Kirk case is connected. The planes, the Fort Huachuca, the military. Look, Joshua Lyons, the asymmetric warfare, deceptive, deceiver expert, was assigned to us to be our first a casualty affairs officer. We're on number, I think, 6 now. Um, so it's just the magnitude of all of this and its connection. Um, and its connection to the El Paso cartel, which is connected to the Mexican cartels. The CJNG is right there in El Paso, as big as Dallas, y'all, as big as Dallas. And you could tell I lived in Texas because that's what we would say. It's as big as Dallas in El Paso, that the CJNG cartel are in El Paso. And along with the Juarez cartel and along with the Sinaloa, CJNG is really there though. And how do we know this? Because Governor Abbott made an agreement with Mauro Campos. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. They did it, and it was reported in the news that they made an intelligence, a security agreement together illegally, because who are they? They are just, they don't have the authority to make agreements for federal databases, for the FBI, for the CIA, but yet they did do that. They absolutely did do that. Let me turn this off, or let me put it on this. Um, and maybe I won't run this sound. I'll just. This is what's going on at the home right now. This is his home. I turned off the sound because it's there's not really any talking, but absolutely, this is all connected to the cartel having infiltrated into our drone business, our military, and being absolutely connected to Qatar there by at the Strait of Hormuz, right? And I presented that last night, and at the taxpayer's expense. If you want to be cartel and you want to uh, have operatives there in Qatar to do trafficking, just join the military, and then the military reach the ranks, and then the military will deploy you over there. And this has been going on since the early 1990s, really before then in the 1980s, because this is a continuation of the Iran Contra scandal, right? This is the weapons for cocaine, right? And this is a continuation of it, but it's evolved. It has expanded, and there's billions and billions of dollars that were being made on all of this, and taking from the Americans, and then you go to Qatar, and it's this amazing buildings and structures and everything. So much so that Tucker Carlson wants to move there, right? He buys property there. Um, and then you see this flip-flop, this unnatural flip-flop, and then you learn about how they were giving suitcases of money to influencers out of Qatar, and you're like, oh, is that what happened? Is that what happened there? And so what would make Cole Allen so mad at President Trump that that's the end of that. That just turn this off. Uh, that they, would do, um, would attempt to take President Trump's life. And it's because that President Trump is onto something. He's onto something really big. And we've been saying it ever since he got into office, that he's onto something really big. And what he's attempting to do with the evidence that we have is to um, infiltrate our country with these traitors, and you always have this attempt to take over a country. You have to be vigilant. And so things are and were, they're not as bad as they were, but they are just so bad. And so, because things were so bad, that means a lot of people were used to that kind of illegal money from their illegal activities. And now, that's being turned off, that's being challenged. And some people are not too happy with it. Some people are not too happy with that. They like the criminal way. And President Trump is saying no to it. So uh, that's how we see this. I think he will be charged right away. They're acting very quick on these matters. And I think it's very, very good for our son's case. But another point that I really want to make about this apprehension of Cole Thomas Allen. Why couldn't, this Cole Allen tried to kill the president of the United States, right? And it's just incredible what he tried to do. And yet he was apprehended alive. He's alive. But Julio Cordero, who was not armed, he was shot in the head by Anthony Acuna. Explain that to me. That doesn't make any sense, especially when they absolutely knew each other. He absolutely knew who Julio Cordero is. And I know that from uh, the law enforcement community. Everyone knew who Julio Cordero is because he was the most decorated FBI agent in El Paso history. And he was the investigator on the Poison Ponds that arrested over 40 officials, that they went into the courthouse to arrest officials. Yeah, he's just absolutely known. And so this case is absolutely connected to um, everything that's going on. Really, everything that's going on. It's just because the reach of all of this money, the reach of the cartel, uh, was so vast, so vast. I mean, so encompassing. And that's why you see that Richard's case, which is directly tied to the whole thing, um, because they're the ones that took Richard out. Uh, that this is connected, right? That this is all connected. And so we're not wrong. We've been right all along. The other thing that I wanted to tell you is that we're keeping a very close eye on this cement lake, which is the Portland Cement Reservoir. We're keeping a very close eye on it. They've drained about 8 feet. We are expecting that they're going to drain more, that they're going to keep on draining that water. They need to drain it. Okay, they need to drain that. Um, let's keep people safe, right? And then they can, there's some people, oh, leave it alone, leave it alone. But you can drain it. I know Berloch, which was a little lake by our house in Germany, when, of course, um, working out of Landstuhl and Ramstein Air Force Base and Vogelway. was the army part of this whole area. It's like a little America over there in Germany. And uh, we know, oh, and I lost my train of thought, but uh, yeah, lost my train of thought. Um, with this whole, yeah, gosh, it's just too late at night, y'all. It's just too late. So uh, let's look at some of the comments. Wendy Hall, thank you. Shared this live. Thank you so much. Last night I thought was really good. A lot of time, a lot, oh, I never have a lot of time to prepare because we're just working behind the scenes so much with filing, documenting and filing, and all the letters. You wouldn't believe how many letters that we have filed in order to document all the investigations, evidence that we um, have found, you know. And they wanted the evidence, so we're giving them the evidence. They told us we had to do the investigation ourselves into our son's case, otherwise they couldn't help us. So can you believe it? So that's what we did then, and we brought it to them, and um, yeah, it's just crazy. Um, it, we figured out who they were, right? We figured out who they were through it all. I know they're letting Connell Wenton lead them to bigger fishes. Um, yeah, maybe. I don't know. On to making his family the richest in the world by all the corruptions. I don't know what you mean by that. He was a Democrat and he gave money to Act Blue. Oh, yeah, maybe so. Okay. He gave money to Act Blue for Kamala Harris. Cole Thomas Allen. Yeah, uh, that absolutely makes sense because don't forget Beto O'Rourke's family ranch was right there by Jeffrey Epstein. And Santa Fe, big hub for Oprah Winfrey, very much with the Harris campaign. And of course, with the Obamas. Santa Fe was the place they liked to go. And that's where the lab was, right? That's where the lab was. And now we have these Los Alamos um, scientists missing and even dead, and they were JPL. I mean, I have them right here. I wrote some notes down. What they were up to with this jet propulsion, with NASA, with the MIT plasma science. That's very interesting for me. Fusion Center, very interesting. Yeah, just ended up disappearing. Chemical biology researcher, astrophysicist, and a NASA collaborator, anti gravity breakthrough propulsion researcher. That was Amy Estrich. Um, yeah, let me see who. Deceased Michael David Hicks, NASA GPL scientist. Uh, he's, yeah, 59 years old. Um, and then government contractor, um, Los Alamos National Laboratory, Melissa Cassius. She just disappeared walking one day. Aerojet Rocketdyne. Um, that's NASA, JPL, Monica Rizza, Anthony Chavez, Los Alamos National Laboratory, former employee. Um, yeah. So this fits uh, all these connections, doesn't it? It fits this epicenter. We call it the epicenter, El Paso, and of course, our son's whistleblower reports um, created investigations. Investigations were being made. Audits were being done. We were told audits were being conducted. They don't like audits, y'all. They don't like audits. And what Richard reported caused audits. caused them to look into the waste, fraud, and abuse. And so, yeah, when they, yeah, I think so proud of you, Mrs. Holliday. You have to be a detective and have all the proof of paperwork. Yeah. Well, we have absolutely been researching and investigating for 6 years, day in and day out. And there's nothing like losing your son to this kind of violence. It is just hell. And you just dig and dig and dig because you know you can't let them get away with it. You can't let these evil people do what they did. And because they're empowered, it's like they fill up their tank so they can do it again. And we just, that's why we're looking so closely at everything going on. And because we have so much evidence already documented, when things do happen, we see it through a different lens than other people. And so as soon as this happened, it was like, okay, who's he connected to? Let's do a background check. Um, and we weren't let down, were we? We weren't let down. It's totally connected to Fort Bliss and White Sands and Fort Huachuca and these missing scientists and the drones. The drones. Don't forget, his talent is about the drones, and we know the cartel is all about the drones, and we know Iran is all about the drones, and so yeah. Um, I think this is going to be very interesting the next few days, all the information that is coming out. Yeah. And keep your eye on El Paso. Keep your eye on El Paso. Um, yes. And the whole Governor Abbott and Maru Campos, uh, their agreement, they can't make that kind of agreement for federal agencies when they're state. That is so illegal, y'all. And they felt so emboldened because they're protected by a protection racket, the El Paso cartel. That's their protection racket. So they just felt like they could do whatever they wanted. So this is why we have to get to the bottom of this. And I just want to thank everyone for sharing, sharing, sharing. And I will be back. I will be back